Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome all of you to the SkillsFuture Month in collaboration with Smart Nation 2021, organized by SkillsFuture Singapore and Smart Nation Singapore. Our speaker, Dr. Kwong, will be sharing the topic, Artificial Intelligence, AI, Ethics and Governance. Throughout the session, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A tab that you see on the right panel. Do take note, questions will be moderated. Dr. Kwong, please take the stage.
Okay, let me unmute myself. Okay, give me a moment to share my slide first. Okay, I hope all of you can see my slide. First of all, thank you very much for joining this webinar. My name is Yuk Wah. I am representing the Singapore Computer Society today. The topic of today's webinar is AI, Ethics and Governance. It is a new topic, and I am going to share more detail with you today. Now, this is the outline of today's webinar. We are going to spend some time discussing 5 topics related to the AI, Ethics and Governance, and we will have some time for the Q&A. I would appreciate if you can post all your questions in the Q&A session in this Zoom session. Then later on, I can go through the Q&A and then try to answer the question one by one. Now, so the 5 topics that I'm going to share. Firstly, let us look at some of these example or AI tool to see is AI really part of our everyday life, and then we go on to look at some of these definition or some of this jargon about AI and why ethics in AI is so important, and what is really the AI, ethics and governance. And if you are interested, if you would like to obtain the certification, which is a new program just launched, I just got my certification last month. If you are interested, I can share with you some detail as well. Now, so allow me to spend a couple of minutes to introduce Singapore Computer Society to you, if you have not already known about the SCS. Now, SCS, okay, I think my now, okay. Now, SCS is a society for the Infocom and the digital media professional in Singapore. We have a few core mission. One of the core mission is really for us to value add to the professional and personal development of the Infocom and the digital media professional in Singapore. And the way we do it, we organize our initiative and our event into 12 chapters or 4 special interest group, and to provide, our service to our 42,000 members. So on average, we have about 2.6 events per week. Before the COVID-19 situation, we really have a lot of networking and the physical event, but this day actually everything go virtual, right? Another important initiative under SCS is our career mentor program. We have 215 senior professional, experienced professionals. Some of them are IT leaders in Singapore. They are the mentor. They provide mentorship to the IT professional in Singapore. Now, so this is a quick overview of our 12 chapters and SIG, the Special Interest Group. We have the Hardcore Project Management chapter. We also have IoT, AI Robot chapter, and last year we have the Women in Tech chapter. So SCS encourage more women to join the tech sector. So we have one chapter really, helping or encouraging more women to join the tech sector. Now, in terms of certification, which this is a portfolio under me, I am, me and my other colleague, the volunteer in SCS, we look after the professional development. So in terms of professional development, one aspect is really certification. There are altogether 9 certification programs. The latest one is the AI Ethics and Governance just launched last year. Okay, so let us start the today, the webinar topic. Now, so first one is AI really part of our everyday lives? Actually, if you look at your handphone, your smartphone, you can see a lot of AI tools in your handphone. If you are the iPhone user, right? If you turn on the voice control, then the voice control of the iPhone can accept your voice command and then activate the function, using your voice commands. And some of you may be, renovate your home, become a smart home. So you use a device like the Amazon Alexa or the Google Home to use a voice command to control the light, to control the curtain, to control the fan, right? Now then the other aspect is also in our iPhone, the translation, right? So this is also one of the AI tools. Google Translate. I like to use this tool to do some translation. And sometimes if I cannot write the Chinese character, I input the English sentence, then the Google Translate can give me the Chinese translation. Now chatbot, right, is another one that we deal with it. Someone actually wrote articles talking about 10 or 15 popular chatbot in Singapore. I selected 4 of them. This one is the Bus Uncle. If you have not downloaded the Bus Uncle, you go ahead and download it. It's quite interesting. This uncle can give us a lot of advice or instruction, what bus to take. If you are not very sure, you can actually take a photo. Then the bus uncle, this chatbot, will tell you, the detail about the bus, right? Now, if you go to the government website very often, you will see this lady. Her name is Jamie. You can ask Jamie. Now, so when you input a question to Jamie, then Jamie will give you the answer. DBS, you can actually use the DBS, the digit board, right, to input the question to the DBS chatbot, and then the chatbot will actually provide you the answer and some of the service as well. Now this day we cannot travel, but I just put the SIA chatbot here, so we cannot check about the, whether we can fly on. We cannot check about the flight information because we can't fly, but you can certainly go on to find out some information about the COVID-19 traveling as well. Now, so the next aspect actually is in Facebook. I'm sure some of you, or if not most of you, use Facebook, right? So when you upload your photo, and sometimes when you wonder when you want to tag your friend or tag your family member, you wonder why Facebook actually recommends some names to you. Yes, Facebook actually use some AI tools, their own AI tools called deepfakes, right? And the deepfakes will do some kind of facial recognition and to recommend names for you to tag. Now the other aspect, if you are SingPass user, besides you use the 2FA, the two-factor authentication, you can also use the facial ID. You can, turn on your facial ID. And SingPass has been used by many organizations as a lock-in mechanism, or the technical people like us, we call it authentication mechanism. So this slide here, show us that like DBS is using that, right, to enable the SingPass holder to sign up the DBS digital banking services, right, using the Face ID. Now, if you are watching video in YouTube or you are watching Netflix, if you wonder why sometimes they recommend certain, a video or certain movie to you, it is because these companies using the AI tool, right? The tool is called recommendation system or recommendation engine, right? Based on our browsing history, they try to personalize our preference and recommend the movie or video for us to view. Now, the other aspect is online shopping, right? Yeah, I think ladies, when you go to the online shopping and go to the website to buy, you just want to buy a blouse, but there are recommendations that, you should buy this dress or this pen or this shoe, so end up that you may buy more than what you intend to buy, right? And some of us actually like to go to Taobao, right, to do some kind of online shopping. But you look at this, this article here. This is by Alibaba. Alibaba, using a lot of AI tools, right? So Alibaba actually claimed that they know us, on online shopper, right? They know us because we leave a lot of digital footprint into their platform, so they know us better than we know ourselves, right? Now, the other aspect about the AI tool really is part of our everyday life is a map, the Google Map, right? Yeah. I am not very good in direction, so I rely a lot on the Google Map to give me all the navigation, right? And also sometimes I can't follow the instruction. I may miss a turn. I may go to the wrong turn, but the Google Map can recalibrate and give me a new direction, to help me to reach my destination. Now, this is the driverless car or autonomous vehicles. There's a lot of discussion, about driverless car, and some of these, autonomous vehicle or driverless car already deployed for trial. Like the photograph here, right? This article is in 2019, before the COVID. NTU and Volvo, they have launched some trial in bus in the NTU campus. But if you wonder that these are the very sophisticated AI tools, yes, in order for the car to be driverless or autonomous, very complex AI technique are being used. But the basic building block is already in some of the safety feature in the car, right? So like for instance, sometimes the car brake automatically because there are sensor, to detect that certain objects are near our car, so the auto brake system kick in, right? And if we are not at the center of the lane, then the car will alert us, right? And some expensive car can even do self parking as well, right? So these are the basic tools already built in some of the car. Now, so after I have shared with you some of this example of AI, you can imagine that actually AI is around us. It's really in our everyday life. Now, so now let us go on to look at what is artificial intelligence. What is really the definition of artificial intelligence? Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence, you can even do go to the dictionary and search for this term artificial intelligence. So the dictionary actually gives you some definition, but the definition is really centered around how the technology is being used, like things like facial recognition, driverless car and all this. But so let us take a look of the real definition, or I call it the technical definition of artificial intelligence, right? Now, there are many definitions. I use the definition from IMDA, the Infocom Media Development Authority of Singapore, right? So the definition used by this agency actually say that, it is, it's an intelligent machine, right? And this intelligent machine, right, it is a disruptive technology in the recent year. So when you talk to people about Industry 4.0, everybody, I can't say everybody, most of the people will say that AI, right? So it's a very important, disruptive technology in the Industry 4.0. Now, but actually, what is this intelligent machine all about? This intelligent machine can mimic the action of a human, and the thought of the human can actually, make certain decision, for the human, right? Now then let me actually run you through some of these key developments or key milestones of the AI development. Different people see the development differently. The way I see it is there are altogether 4 important milestones. The first one actually is in 1956, right now. 1956, a group of researchers, they came together, to discuss thinking machine. But a young computer science professor, his name is John McCarthy. He is the one that introduced the term artificial intelligence in 1956. Now, in the 60s, the AI development is mainly on the the expert system. So what's expert system? The expert system is the computer system or the AI system or computer software can make decision as if that they are the human expert. Now then in the 90s, the AI actually have another major breakthrough. The major breakthrough was enabled by two things, right? One is the computing power, the increase in computing power. When I am an IT professional, when I started my IT, career, is what we call IBM. I mean the mainframe computer. But today, our handphone power is larger than those computers that I used, many decades ago, right? So the increase in the computing power and also the availability of data, right? So there's a lot of data available, right? Now, so this become the enabler, to drive the AI development. Now, in the 2000, right, some of us call it a modern AI, right? Yeah. And if you look at some of the literature, some literature say that it's about 2010 onward, right? So it's a new AI era, right? And this new AI era is made possible is because of the breakthrough in the machine learning and also the deep learning algorithms. Now, so let us take a look at a few examples, right? A few stories about this AI breakthrough. Today I share with you about 3 examples. Now, the first one is really the computer actually playing chess, game, with a human, right? Yeah. So this guy actually he's a Russian chess master, right? In 1996, he played a chess game with this computer. This computer is by IBM. The name of this computer called Deep Blue. So in 1996, when he did the first tournament, it's a real tournament, right? With this computer, he won in 1996. But in 1997, the same tournament, did again. The computer actually won over him, right? Now there's a documentary produced using this story called "The Man versus Machine." If you're interested, you can actually, watch this documentary. Now the other one is also another famous, stories about the AI breakthrough. It's also about chess game, but this time it's the Go game, right? The Chinese Go games or Wei Qi, right? Yeah. Now, so this guy, he is a Korean chess master, right? The Go master, right? So he play with the computer. I mean, with this AI game, right? Called AlphaGo in 2016, about 20 years after the Russian chess master lost the game, right? Yeah. Now, before he started the competition, he was very confident that he can win. But at the end of the game, actually the computer won the game, right? So his coach observed the whole tournament, the whole competition. His coach actually, feel that the computer or the AlphaGo, the AI system is very consistent, but whereas he actually demonstrates some kind of mental vulnerability, right? Now, so the next breakthrough is Google, right? Yeah, I try to. I don't know whether there is how come there is a bar here, but I hope you can see the header, right? So Google actually come up with this algorithm that they can recognize cat, right? So it happened in 2012. A researcher team, they built a big, neural network. So this is an example of the neural network, right? This network functions like our human brain. They wire up 16,000 computer processors, and they went to the YouTube to use 100 million digital image, of cat, and then the whole algorithm can recognize the cat, right? Yeah. Now, and after this one, then a lot of research or a lot of discussion about machine learning also started. Now, so there are so many, terms, right? So even people like us, IT people like us, also get confused, right? So in this universe of artificial intelligence, so what is machine learning? What is deep learning, right? Yeah. Now, so to me, I look at the machine learning and deep learning is the discipline under this universe called artificial intelligence, right? Now, so we look at the definition here, right? So we look at the circle here, right? So the artificial intelligence is everything, right? And then machine learning is one aspect under the artificial intelligence. Deep learning is a subset, under the machine learning, right? Now, so we look at the definition here. This is one of the definition from the Stanford University. She say that machine learning is really getting the computer to act and without explicitly doing the programming, right? Yeah, so the machine learn by themselves, right? Now then deep learning is a subset of the machine learning. So deep learning, the algorithm is more complex. Actually, the algorithm is using the concept of the function of our brain, right? Yeah. Now, so the name of this algorithm, is called artificial neural network. Now, so this slide, this aspect here, the left-hand side of this slide, show us the different discipline and under artificial intelligence, or this author should say that different area of research. Show me is different branches of artificial intelligence, right? So let us go through it very quickly. The first one is the rule-based reasoning. So this is the expert system, right? Those in the 80, the software or the AI system, can make decision like a human expert, right? Yeah. Now the machine learning, I covered that just now. The machine learning is one branch, and then deep learning is a subset of the machine learning. I share with you the voice assistant. Voice assistant is using the technique or using this, discipline called natural language processing, right? Yeah. Translation, Google Translate, also using this technique, the natural language processing technique, right? Yeah. Now, so let's skip to the speeches. We use a voice input, right? So the voice can be converted to the text, right? And then the text also can be converted to the speech. So this is another discipline under the AI called speech, right? Or speech recognition, right? Now, machine vision, another term is called computer vision. So facial recognition is using this discipline or this technique under AI, right, to recognize the facial features, right? Yeah. Now then, lastly is robotic, right, and autonomous vehicles is under this discipline of robotic, right? Now, another aspect when we talk to people dealing with artificial intelligence, well, especially if they are doing a lot of machine learning and deep learning, and then they ask for a lot of data. So very often we also not very sure. So what is the relationship between AI, as a discipline or as a technology and data science, right? Yeah. If some of you have children actually studying right in the poly and the university, should they choose AI? Should they choose data science, right? Or the business intelligence, business, analytic and all this, right? Now this slide actually gives us the relationship between AI and data science, right? So data science is not a subset of AI, but AI actually requires certain data. Later on, I will show you some example, right? So you can see that certain aspect of the data science it is used by the artificial intelligence technology, but not all the data science, technique require AI. Another confusion we have is when we talk about robot, then we think that robot is AI. I was talking to one of my friends, she was telling me that her robot is AI-enabled robot, right? Yes or no, sometimes, certain brand of the robot is just to program to do automation, maybe turn left, turn right. It may not be intelligent enough to spot, certain object and then, to do certain thing after the object is being discovered by the robot, right? And not all artificial intelligence application or technique actually require robotic, right? But if there is an intersection here, yes. So that means the robot is the AI-enabled robot, right? Yeah, or the AI, augmented, robot. Now, so many of us may be, having a very different impression about the technology, the AI technology, right? Yeah. This could be because of the Hollywood movie, right? The Hollywood actually, produce many movie about AI, about robot. Some of the robot like this one is from, Star Wars. They're human-like, but they are not human. But they are robot that could becoming human, or the robot that can outsmart the human and can destroy human. And then the Terminator need to be sent, to destroy all these robot, right? Now, so let us, look at the real world, right? So the real world actually a lot of AI technique or AI application are helping the human being. Now, this is one of the example, Sophia. Sophia is a very well-known AI robot. She has a citizenship, right? Saudi Arabia gave her a citizenship, in 2017. She also representing the United Nations Development Program, right? As a innovation ambassador, right? Now, this robot is manufactured by a Hong Kong-based company, Hanson Robotics. Now, the other one, this is another very well-known robot. It's being used to treat the patient in the hospital and also in the extended care. The concept of this robot is to help the patient, for certain treatment. And like this example here is really to help to interact with the elderly. The concept of using this robot is really the live, example of using animal, the benefit of using animals such as dog, to help the patient, right? Yeah. There are research, demonstrated that this technique or this AI application has positive psychological impact on the patient. Now this is another good example that the technology is used to help the human being, right? So let us take a look of this video.
This is someone who couldn't walk when they came in, and now they're walking. Mitsuko Negashio suffered from polio when she was a child, which left her in a wheelchair until now. Today, she's wearing a HAL suit. HAL, Hybrid Assisted Limbs. When you want to move your arms or your legs, your brain sends electrical signals to the muscles to tell them to move. This suit detects those signals, and that's what makes it move. So, if you can't move your arms or your legs, the suit still detects the signals, and so it can walk for you. For example, if I stop my arm from moving, but flex the muscles, it still detects the will to move the legs.
Sorry, I think
Lower limb disabilities are often caused by a damaged and disconnected nervous system between what the brain wants to do and resulting muscle movements. However, even in severe cases, there are still weak electrical signals that do make it through. And just to prove that it's detecting intention rather than copying any detected movement, if it's not my brain making my limbs move, the suit doesn't replicate. HAL is being used for rehabilitation in serious spinal cord injuries and other neuromuscular diseases, where previously patients had no prospect of being able to move their legs again.
Once the central nervous systems are destroyed, then nerves never generated here. Even such kind of very severe patients who broke the spinal cord completely, I found even such kind of damaged areas, some neurons created.
The leg's purpose is not to strengthen muscles, but to rebuild the neural loop between brain and legs.
The purpose of this device is to facilitate the synaptic connections between the nerves and nerves, or nerves and muscles, in order to establish the suitable nerve circuits.
We've watched the development of these power-assisted suits for quite a few years here on Click, and there's always been just one thing that's concerned me. The company that makes this robot suit has chosen to call itself Cyberdyne. Well, now I finally get to ask the founder if he knew that this is the same company that goes on to make the Terminator, which goes back in time and tries to wipe us all out.
After naming our company's Cyberdyne, after that somebody talk to me that the name is similar to the Terminator's movies.
Similar? It's the same, man.
Okay, so when the Hollywood movie actually say that the robot can destroy us, actually these are the good example that AI is being used to help the human being for the well-being of the human being. So let us change gear for the next session. Is really look at some of this concept about the machine learning, about the how machine learn, right? Yeah. And then I will actually go on to discuss with you the ethical issue related to the AI technology. And it's not something very new. Any new technology, when we first introduce, there are certain challenges that we need to address it, right? Now, so let us look at this this sentence, right? So this guy, his name is Alan Turing, right? He said it in 1947. What we want is a machine that can learn from our experience. Now then we have to ask this question, then how does a machine learn, right? Can a machine learn by itself? No, I think the machine actually need two things in order for the machine to learn. Now this machine here could be a robot, it could be a software program, yeah? Could be a software, yeah? Now so these two things that required for the machine to learn is data and also the algorithms. Now, in terms of the algorithms, there are two aspects of the algorithms. Some algorithm, like just now, the story that I share with you, the breakthrough story that I share with you, Google actually can recognize a cat, right? Yeah. Now, so this algorithm, are very complex, require huge amount of data, and very often this complex algorithm, people call it black boxes, right? It is not really a black boxes, right? It's just that the algorithm is very complex, and then in order to explain the algorithm is not so easy. But there are algorithms that are not so complex, are simpler, right? And it can be, interpreted, it can be explained, but it may not be powerful enough, to predict the complex outcome, right? Now, so the machine will use the data and go to the algorithm, right? So this is a training process, right? To train the algorithm, then a module will be produced, and then a module will be used in the live environment to predict the result or to make certain decision. There are, a few machine learning technique. Today, I'm going to introduce to you three machine learning technique: supervised learning and unsupervised learning, as well as reinforcement learning. Now, so this diagram here talking about the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. These two learning technique require data, right? The difference between the supervised learning and unsupervised learning is, in supervised learning, all the input data are being labeled or being tagged, and the output, the expected output, data also tag. Like for this case, is the model is trained to recognize a duck. So all this input data is being labeled, these two are the duck, these two are not duck. Then after that go through the learning, then produce the model. Then a model will be put in the live environment to predict a duck, right? But in the unsupervised learning, all the input data are not labeled, and the output also not labeled as well, right? And once the algorithm go through the training, the algorithm in this example can classify them into three different categories, right? So the algorithm see the pattern and then classify them. Now the recommendation, like the YouTube video or the online the online shopping, why we get all the personalized service and all this, actually the organization are using this unsupervised learning, look at the historical data to find a pattern or to find a correlation, right? Yeah. Now reinforcement learning do not have the predefined input data, but the agent, so the agent, this one could be a robot, could be a driverless car, right? The agent actually learn by try and error. So the agent do something, right? So the environment here, right, will give some kind of signal to this agent, and if if something positive, we give them the reward, right? Then at the end of the day, then this agent after some training become intelligent. The concept of reinforcement learning is really using the basic concept, like this example here is we're going to train a cat, a dog, right? Yeah. So if the cat and dog can perform certain action, or if they have certain behavior that we like, then we give them the reward, right? So it's through a trial and error process. Now, so after all this, basic about AI, about using data, using algorithm, and as I said earlier, like any new technology, that there are new challenges given to us, right? And Hollywood movie, talking about all this negative example, it's a reminder to us that we ought to look into some of these ethical, legal, and governance issue related to the AI deployment. Now, so let us go on to look at why ethics in AI is important. Yeah, I use this example, the muffin and the chihuahua, right? The AI engineer like to use this example to talk about how intelligent is the algorithm. But I like to use this example to illustrate the importance of the training data set, right? Yeah. If we don't have enough data set, could we actually just pick some muffin and pretend to be Chihuahua and go through the training? If this is the action, by the organization or by any individual, then to me it's not ethical. We have to use the real data. Now, then the other example, there is a documentary made, and you can actually watch this documentary in Netflix. If you subscribe to Netflix, right? This lady, her name is Joy Bolavini. She discovered some flaw in the AI algorithm. She is a researcher in the MIT Media Lab. Now, so let us take a look of this video.
During my first semester at MIT, I got computer vision software that was supposed to track my face. It didn't work until I put on this white mask. I'm thinking, all right, what's going on here? Is it the lighting conditions? Is it the angle at which I'm looking at the camera, or is there something more? That's when I started looking into issues of bias that can creep into technology.
Our ideas about technology that we think are normal are actually ideas that come from a very small and homogeneous group of people.
Vast amounts of data at incredible speeds.
Everybody has unconscious biases, and people embed their own biases into technology.
This kid got stopped as a result of facial recognition misidentification, and then used that as justification to search you. This is an innocent child.
Racism is becoming mechanized.
Systemic issues are only going to be hardwired into new technologies.
It's not just face classification, it's any data-centric technology.
Every day, we are all being scored.
Who gets hired? Who gets housing?
I am making predictions for your life right now.
The people who own the code deploy it on other people, and there is no accountability.
Management analytic towers wanted to install the facial recognition software. Pretty much turn this place into Fort Knox.
The technology is being rapidly adopted, and there are no safeguards.
We are socially controlled in a way that we don't see.
Technology that analyzes faces could be biased, but the company is pushing it anyway.
What demographic is it most effective on?
White men.
Show me that it's going to be fair, that it's legal, before you put it out. That's what we don't have yet.
It's going to take people coming together, striving for justice in this age of automation.
Okay, so let us go and look at another example. This is the article published by Straits Times just last month, talking about companies are using the machine to decide the fate of the employees. The example here is actually Amazon, right? So just now the video is about fairness and unbiased, right? So this actually is example of transparency, right? So the whole decision process to determine the fate of the employees ought to be transparent, right? The other one is, if algorithm is used to determine the fate of the employees, so we need to explain the outcome of the decision, right? If the explanation is the algorithm actually decides so, then that is not acceptable. So we need to explain the outcome, of the decision and why the AI algorithm actually decide that, certain employees should be given more job and certain employee may be receiving a termination letter. Now, so let us watch this video about the ethics in AI, right? Dr. Yap-Kuk, he started this AI ethics when he was a minister in communication and information. After he retired from politics, he remained as the advisor to Singapore Computer Society. So let us watch this short video, and he has a view on AI ethics.
AI ethics is about ensuring that whatever decisions are made by the machine or algorithm are fair, just, and transparent. And the whole issue of governance is about how you manage the system to ensure that those are the outcomes you want. It's important for us to educate the public only because AI will become pervasive. It will touch all aspects of our lives, from the things we do at home, the things we do at work, when we go shopping, and when we go online. So people need to understand that algorithms and machines are making decisions on their behalf. And therefore, they need to be educated so that at the end of the day, they understand their rights when it comes to their relationship with these algorithms. They must have the right to question those decisions made by the machines. They have the right of explainability, where the owners of the machines must be able to explain to the public. The public must be aware that as more machines are being used, they must continue to exert their right to be able to understand what is going on behind the algorithms.
Okay, so let us move on to the fourth segment. What is AI ethics and governance? Now, the role of the AI, there are two aspects. One aspect is really, while we are using more machine to enable certain decision making or to make certain, or to predict certain outcome, and what we can do to maintain the sufficient control and oversight over the machine. That's one aspect. The other aspect, a lot of data are being used to train the algorithm, so the data protection and data privacy, ought to be sufficiently addressed as well. Now, Singapore is the leading, in this aspect of AI ethic, or deploy AI responsibly, right? Yeah, our government has launched a model framework, and a model framework was constructed, or developed by the PDPC, Data Protection Development Commission, and then this model framework was launched in January 2019 in the World Economic Forum. So Singapore is among the first in the world, and also we are the first in Asia to produce such a guideline to help the private sector organization to deploy AI responsibly. Now, so there are two very important overarching principles regarding ethics in AI. So the first one, Dr. Yaacob also said that in his video, and the coded bias also talking about fairness, right? So the first principle is really in the AI decision AI enabled decision making process ought to be explainable, transparent, and fair, right? This principle help to build trust and confidence in AI. The other one is the solution must be human-centric, right? It must take care of the human safety, must be for the well-being of the human, right? Now, so the model framework, the guideline is done in 4 aspects, right? The first one is internal governance and structure, meaning that within the organization, is there a clear role and responsibility spelled out in terms of AI, development, AI design, AI deployment, right? Should everything just leave it to the technical people? Is there a check and balance? Looking at the risk, if the deployment of the AI actually, put the outcome is very high risk, then what should the company do, right? Yeah, staff training is also very important aspect in this pillar, right? Now the other one, the second one is really the human involvement, right? Should everything just leave it to the AI algorithm? Is there a human control over the machine, right? Yeah. How do we actually minimize the risk? If the AI system, the AI algorithm actually will harm the human being or produce unfair outcome, right? Now, operational management is really, to address the fairness and the biasness. You can see that, the risk assessment is in this aspect. The first one, the second one, and the last one as well. So even in terms of operational management, we need to adopt a risk-based approach, right? Then lastly is the stakeholder interaction and communication, right? So stakeholder include the customer as well, like what Dr. Yaacob said, right? So the public ought to be aware that it's the machine making the decision, for us, right? And of course within the organization, all level ought to be, aware of the AI policy and all this, right? So when we actually talk to the industry even told us that the board of directors also ought to be aware of this AI deployment or AI solution being used in the organization. Now, so after the model framework has been announced, right? In January 2019, actually the second edition was released by PTPC as well, by our government as well, right? The second version has a lot of tools to help the organization. Now I call this a 2x2 table. So the first one is really at the organization level. The green one is really the individual, right? So we need to train individual, people like you and I, to understand AI ethics and help the organization to do the deployment. The individual initially, when we started this certification program, we thought that it's only project manager, IT project manager or product manager. as we actually talk to more people in the, in the society, in the industry, it could be, even, the subject matter expert. Like for instance, if you are the customer, service manager, you also ought to know, some of these AI, ethic and governance issue as well, right? So the job that given to SCS is really to train and certify a group of professionals knowing AI and ethics and governance, and in turn they can help the organization to deploy AI responsibly. Now, so this slide actually summarized our whole journey. When the model framework was launched in 2019, SCS has produced, based on the model framework, we produce a body of knowledge, right? And the body of knowledge is an enabler for us to train a group of professionals and certify a group of professionals. The first certification program was launched last year. It's a joint certification program between, it's a joint certification program, of SCS and NTU. So NTU is our partner, is the SCS partner for the first certification program. Now, so let us take a look of this video about the certification and the BOK.
So we're very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with IMDA and to complement their model of governance in AI with our ethics in AI body of knowledge. SCS role in the body of knowledge is to prepare our IT professionals, but in the certification for ethics in AI. We think that actually, and we believe definitely, that our IT professionals have to be imbued with good AI skills, as well as the ethical use of AI beyond that.
Singapore's approach to AI governance is to support companies' desire to use AI to power their products or to improve the efficiencies of their operations. That is why we put out our AI governance framework that provides very detailed guidance to companies that wish to use data to enhance their products and services, to improve their business operations through the use of AI. The body of knowledge is an important step towards trustworthy AI. The certification of IT professionals will provide business owners who want to adopt the AI governance framework and who want to demonstrate to their customers that they use AI responsibly to be able to have access to a group of professionals who know how to implement trustworthy AI.
Okay, so these are some of the principles outlined in the BOK. I'm not going to go through them because I think we are running out of time. Things like how to make the AI system transparent, so that the user of the AI system can trust the system, right? And risk management, I have emphasized a lot on the risk management, right? Yeah, and then lastly is really the auditability, right? So can we audit the algorithm? Can we audit the process to ensure all the fairness and the transparency as well, right? Yeah. Now then lastly, this is my last segment, right? If you would like to consider learning about AI ethics and AI governance, you can consider attending this training program, right? The NTU training program. I have completed the program. It's 5 modules, right? It took me about 2.5 months. to learn. Of course, before we can learn AI ethics and governance, we ought to understand some basic, concept about AI. Although we are not an AI engineer, right? A certain basic concept we need to have, a fundamental understanding before we go on to, learn about the AI ethics and governance. Now, so as I mentioned, the NTU program cover, 5 modules. So these are the details about the 5 modules, right? Now, so let us hear Professor Nick. I think he will share with us how to obtain the certification.
This is a program developed based on Singapore Computer Society's AI Ethics and Governance Body of Knowledge document. Attendees will learn about the various issues related to the developments and deployment of AI that are now very common in many aspects of our everyday life. There will be issues with a Singapore Computer Society certificate in AI Ethics and Governance after passing the exam at the end of the program. Persons that are certified will be regarded as professionals that possess the AI ethics related skill sets and knowledge in how to develop and deploy AI in a responsible manner. They can then be tasked to ensure that the implementation and deployment of AI solutions and projects in the organizations are performed in proper and responsible manners. They can also help to independently assess and evaluate other organizations' implementation of AI when needed. Certification will be issued after a person successfully passes an examination that will be conducted by NTU. The examination will be on topics from 5 courses that are based on the Singapore Computer Society AI Ethics and Governance Body of Knowledge. NTU will conduct classes to prepare the learners for the examination. We also plan to have other training partners in futures as demand for the classes increases.
So for some of us, after this certification, like for myself, I finished 5 modules, I passed the examination, I could consider to enroll into the mini master, the AI mini master under NTU as well, right? Yeah. Now, so there is a skill upgrade, pathway for us. Yeah. So lastly, my last slide, actually I like to use this article. This is by Minister, Josephine Teo. He actually came to the roadshow. This event roadshow, and then he talking about, the industry, need a lot of ICT professionals, the ICT sector and the non-ICT sector, right? So she was talking about the tech-like role. Not all of us want to be a AI engineer, right? Or the AI developer, but we could actually, learn about the AI ethics and governance, and increasingly, the company will require people, the certified professional to help them, to implement AI in a more ethical and responsible manner, right? Now, so I would encourage you to go through the program. I have done my program. It's a very good program, yeah? Now we go on to the last one, which is the Q&A. I look at the Q&A first, yeah? Is super intelligent a real threat? Yeah. Okay, the last statement, the last one is super intelligent a real threat? I think we are far from super intelligent. That is my own observation, right? Yeah. So this is why that many countries, including Singapore, has started this AI ethics and governance, initiative, right? Yeah. What is the common program used to create such a AI learning? I am not sure. When you say common program, right? Yeah. Perhaps you can give me an email, then I can answer your question. Yeah, if you are still around. Okay. Yeah. Now, so there are few comments in the chat. Let me take a look of the chat. Okay. Please. Okay. Yeah. Okay, is this course suitable or useful for accountant professional? Yes, you are. I mean, for two reasons. One reason is the accountants, the accountancy, industry is using a lot of AI technique, right? A lot of unsupervised technique is being used, right? Yeah. And if you are the subject matter expert, right, then you ought to learn about all these things, right? So the answer is yes, right? Yeah. I have been told to wrap up my session. I guess it's already 3 o'clock, right? So let me wrap up my session, right, by leaving my email address to you. Please, drop me an email if you require more information about the AI ethics and governance, or if you want to discuss with me, AI or AI ethics and governance, I am more than happy, to interact with you, by email, right? Yeah. So thank you very much for all your, time here, right? So I should drop here. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, before the session ends, please scan the QR code and provide your feedback or comments on the webinar. And lastly, I would like to share with you about our skills and training advisory service. If you're not sure how to get started on your upskilling journey, you can sign up for the free one-to-one skills and training advisory session, where a skills ambassador will guide you in understanding your career goals and provide suitable course recommendations. Simply scan on the QR code and indicate SFMX Smart Nation in the mandatory field, "How do you hear about us?" at the bottom of the registration form. Our skills ambassadors will contact you within 2 to 3 working days. We have come to the end of the webinar and we thank you for joining us. Hope you have gained important insights from our speaker. Thank you and hope to see you in the other session.